I want to discuss the idea of customer value because it has to be one of the most important of all our topics. In fact, we have a whole Academy series devoted to value, so you'll be able to explore the ideas in much greater detail later. But for now, I just want to set out some of the main points. And this is really important because in business generally and in key account management specifically, everybody talks about value all the time. I'm always hearing senior managers telling me, this is our value proposition. I want my people to sell the value, not the price. We always deliver customer value. And this all sounds terrific, but there's just one small problem. Many managers then find it very difficult to tell me what they really mean when they talk about value. And even when they can, using examples, for example, it's often the case that their definition is different from the next person in the company. If you don't believe me, there's a simple test. Just pause the session, send a text to 3 of your colleagues, ask them to define value for your business, write down your own definition, and then compare the results. Generally, whenever I've done this with account managers, I find that everyone has a different definition and different ideas. Does it matter? Well, yes, it does. If we're all talking about different things, how can we develop a real value-based approach, and what on earth will the customers be thinking? So we have to get real clarity about what we mean when we use the term value, and then we have to test those things which we believe deliver value. Later, we'll think about developing a much stronger value proposition for the key account, but for now, let's just work on the definition. I'm going to give you a definition for value. Is it the only definition? Nope, not at all. There are many. Is it the best one? Well, it is for me, but I'll let you decide. If you like my definition, then use it. If not, then just work out your own, agree it with your colleagues, and most importantly, of course, agree it then with your key account. This is really important because if you and the customer are talking about value, but you're each talking about different things, then you're going to have very difficult communication. On the other hand, if you can both agree on the definition, then when you talk about value, the customer will take notice. So agreeing with the customer is just as important as agreeing with your colleagues. So here we go. Definition for value I'm going to be using in our discussion and going forward through the Academy modules. Because we found that it works very well, frankly. Value is something which makes the customer better off or feel better off. That's it. Once again, value is something which makes the customer better off or feel better off. What do I mean by better off? I mean the customer is commercially or financially stronger, ideally measurably. At the very least, something you can point to and the customer agrees that it is in a stronger position as a result. Why do I think this is a good definition? Because it forces us to define value in the customer's terms, and it forces us to show the customer how it's better off. And this is important because we want the customer to pay us a premium for the value we bring. That's one of the ways we're going to increase our margin. We either take out cost or we increase the price. It also forces us to recognize that value is not something we can define for the customer. The customer decides if there's value or not. And this is important. Value for one customer may not be value for another. And similarly, within the customer's organization, different managers will see and will register value in different ways. Now, this brings us to a terribly important point. You cannot sell value to someone who doesn't recognize or benefit from the value. Once again, you can't sell value to someone who doesn't recognize the value or doesn't benefit from the value. And this is a key point because I've met a number of account managers who tell me that their key account is not interested in value. Now, this is nonsense. What they really mean is that they're not offering anything which the customer perceives as value, or they're presenting value to the wrong person, and therefore the value is not being recognized. Let's use an example just to explore this further. Let's say your company sells widgets, which are then used in the manufacture of your customers' machines. And let's assume that you have a large number of competitors who also sell very similar widgets, and that widgets come in standard sizes, standard qualities, and your conversation with the buyer is being dominated by the price of your widgets versus your competitors. In your most recent meeting, the buyer told you that she wants you to reduce the price by 5%. Why? Why is this? What could possibly be happening? And what would you advise this key account manager to do? I'm going to leave you now to consider that question and make some notes, and perhaps also discuss this little case study with your colleagues in the group session to consider how you might advise this account manager. And when we return, we'll look at a possible solution and some of the issues that it presents.